You sit up there.
Well, one of you sit here. Okay, go ahead,
Okay.
Des. Sorry that you
We
didn't
could
take
probably
over
do
Jackie,
that.
but this gentleman has to leave. Go
Let's
ahead,
do intros too.
the recording's on. You can.
Bring the meeting to order.
Do intros.
Are we,
Committee meeting.
You could do that.
sorry, bring the Youth and Education Committee meeting to order.
And your first discussion is on order.
Are we discussing?
We just do quick intros.
You can, well, whatever the
Yeah.
chair say.
Yes.
Good evening. I'm Tardy and my name is Desi K. Robinson.
And everyone online can hear her?
Yes,
Good evening. Excuse me, Tardy. Should I introduce my co-chairs?
I'm Morton Minsley. But pleased to be co-chair with my colleague Desi Robinson.
So who do we have here that
Keep
needs to move along?
Keep going.
Eric Flores, member.
Kylie Rashad, member. Kelly Washburn, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Manhattan Youth.
Townley, Executive Director, Manhattan,
Well,
NCB woman.
we have two folks online. Do they need to be on camera?
Well, Darren.
Andrew Zelter, committee member. Yep, Andrew Zelter, committee member.
Only you need to.
Only to vote.
So the first item is the Millennium High School, sir, which you'll be giving us a report. Go ahead.
that's correct. I'm Colin McAvoy. I'm the principal of Millennium High School, and I'd just like to say, Mr. Townley, I remember you from longstanding, but in terms of CB1 support of Millennium High School,
Yes.
is the reason the school exists. So the community board has been a great ally for many years since its inception. I'm sorry to come before the group this evening, and the long story short is that we're in the process of an expansion to the 14th floor. The community board assisted with that, moving that forward. And we're dealing with the School Construction Authority, which you may have experience with. The School Construction Authority has presented some roadblocks even as the construction is underway. Two issues that I would like to report on with possible requests for community board resolution and intervention, and to put a fine point on it for members of community board 1 to use their influence and power to convince the SCA to make the right decisions. First issue is the new 14th floor. It's all leased space. New 14th floor includes a dedicated public address system. The existing school has a phone-based system. The 14th floor proposed version is a standalone system. As I hope everyone can understand, you can't have two different PA systems in an educational facility and operate safely should there be a crisis or emergency. I have tried to bring that home to the SCA. They have claimed in the last week that they're looking into the problem, but I share this with the community board to primarily protect the students current and future at Millennium High School. In the case of emergency, we need to have one integrated public address system. And if the SCA is resistant to that effort, then I would depend on the community board to advocate for not only local students, downtown students, but all students who are attending Millennium High School. So that's item 1. I don't know if there are any questions about that piece.
Okay.
I
Second.
do. I do, but I know that it's have to move along. I'm just wondering what's the remedy for.
Maybe the first and second issue, same remedy. I'm struggling.
So the second issue is that the School Construction Authority, in building out the 14th floor space, whether through spite or through other reasons, has deliberately avoided following the existing floor plan in the sense as follows. Every instructional space at Millennium High School, and I invite board members to come as they see fit, every instructional space includes windows, classroom to hallway windows, and even in light of the current climate in schools where we have to worry about school-based violence, these classroom to hallway windows create a more human space, less institutional. It allows natural light to reach the hallways. It allows for supervision and management of students across classrooms. It allows anyone to see what's going on, in the exception of a live event, some crisis event where we have shutters, permanent shutters that we can deploy to block line of sight and allow students in classrooms to shelter safely. The School Construction Authority has given a variety of reasons why such windows, 36 by 36 inch square windows, can't be installed in the classroom space on the 14th floor. The net effect is not only to make the space more institutional, but also to eliminate any possibility of consistency in space use. The day-to-day impact, and I hope never to be in a situation, the school has been a very safe one since the start. I hope never to be in the situation where we have a school-based threat or a school-based event that requires us to cut off sight lines to make sure that students are able to shelter safely. That said, our current classrooms, all of which feature these windows, allow students to shelter safely out of sight, line of sight. It's puzzling why the SCA resists including these additional glazing, as they say, or viewing panels based solely on safety. So that's the second issue. We're talking about a significant financial effort on the part of taxpayers, on the part of SCA. I want it to be the best possible space. I would like to endure and thrive in this space to make the best possible instructional space. We need these windows. And that in a nutshell is the two issues, the PA system and the classroom viewing panels or windows.
Mm-hmm. Somebody has a question, who's that? Online. Andrew.
Andrew, you have a question?
I
Yeah,
was ready to say,
Thank you.
Tricia was-
I'm here.
so this is
Sorry,
Andrew. Sorry, guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So thank you for bringing both items forward. Just clarification on the second item. Are you asking for windows to be installed, or are you asking for something to be on the windows to close line of sight as may be necessary?
I'm asking for the windows to be installed. The new space on the 14th floor includes 5 instructional spaces. All 5 of those spaces, I correct myself, 4 of those 5 spaces could have at least one panel, one viewing panel, one window, hallway to classroom window. And the SCA has raised a whole range of reasons why it can't happen, none of which under examination hold up.
Can I ask what are some of the reasons they've provided?
So the first and most significant reason they claim is that in terms of school safety, the SCA's design requirements have changed and they've, quote, minimized glazing, call for minimized glazing, end quote. They can't provide any concrete or written evidence that that policy is in place. They can't provide anything that, I've filed a FOIL request. They can't provide anything that documents anything about viewing panels whatsoever. They exist in 90,000 square feet of existing school. And I can tell you instructionally, it makes a big difference. In terms of experience in school, it makes a big difference. But the first claim is, well, it's not safe. And to have people who don't live in a school day to day tell a school principal who's every day in school with the students about what is manageable is, it's a conversation. I've tried to emphasize that our ideal situation is not, we want to be prepared, obviously, for a crisis, but we also don't want to assume every day is a crisis and adjust the instructional space accordingly. So that's the first and foremost. We've tried to explain that we have permanent blinds on all those windows that can be deployed in an instant that cut off line of sight. We've tried to lay out our plans and protocols for going above and beyond normal drills. God forbid we should ever have to respond in actuality. And the combination of, they don't have the statutes or the design requirements in writing to show, oh, this is formal policy. And we've practiced this for 20 years now at site with existing space. Why suddenly these new spaces can't conform to our old ones? I'm also grateful that we have not had a school-based incident.
I have a,
Well, I mean, hi, Colin, it's Tricia.
Hey,
I was on a stuck train in Midtown with these fires. So I'm sorry I'm late, everyone. And I
just listened to everything that you said, and having been in this space, both old and new spaces, I would concur with you that, you know, your track record is the most important thing here, even if they've had incidences elsewhere. And I think that, you know, I would be happy to take this up. In fact, we just saw Andrea Bender the other day and Nina, and, you know, I think we need to have a conversation with them and dig deeper into what their issues are. Did you, in addition to having the written report, did you speak to them on the phone or in person at any point?
I've had a series of conversations about this. Most recently, 2 weeks ago, today, we had a lifetime meeting with a number of individuals from the School Construction Authority. I make a bad pun. They were stonewalling on the classroom windows or glazing issue without any documentation. They couldn't provide any information about the budget, which they claimed was an issue. They couldn't provide any information about the design standards, which they claimed was an issue. Couldn't provide anything in terms of the protocol for changing work when a project was underway. I mean, if anyone here has had renovation work done on their home, you know the time to make adjustments is when the project is underway. If you find something that needs to be done, you make changes in the moment. So there's a resistance, I think, that's characteristic of the SCA here, throwing up any reason they can to say, well, we're not going to do this. We didn't plan for this. As I said, I filed a FOIL request for all pertinent information. There's a lot here that's raising questions. That's the window issue. As far as the PA system, I think they were going to go ahead thinking it was going to be fine. In the last week, they've started initially to look into it, but a 2-system PA should there be any emergency or crisis, is not a solution.
Why were they resistant to one?
I think it's an issue of either cost or reluctance. I think it's the kindest thing I can say, it was an oversight. Someone did not say, oh, you have to have an integrated PA system for an integrated school space. I mean, Tricia, you've been in that space any number of times and been a tremendous advocate. It's why you'd not just look at it and say, that can't happen. You need to have one system. My anticipation is kindness is an oversight. My more cynical and realistic view is they looked at the cost of integrating the system and said, well, we don't want to underwrite, add anything more to this project. It took significant work, as you may recall, the conversations 4 years ago now. It took significant work around class size, the class spaces, and getting them to put in an integrated security camera system. They were going to do something as a standalone for the 14th floor and not do anything about our existing 8 cameras. So it's everything here is driven by, I think, a number of factors. It's not do the right thing at the one opportunity you have it. It's, well, what are we going to be able to minimize in terms of expenditure, in terms of commitment, in terms of saying the job's done and walk away.
Right. So did you get the impression, because I think you just said when you saw them, you felt like they might be looking into integrating the system again, or do you feel as though they're still in a standoff on that as well?
I think they're aware, and given 2 weeks ago, our conversation on live time with multiple representatives from the SCA, I had Councilmember Marte and the representatives from the Borough President's office there. I'm sorry for not looping in the community board yet at that point, but took the precaution of getting some public figures for that conversation. They seem to be a little more receptive to the PA system, although my worry is that they're going to try and get the cheapest possible solution. It's also difficult to stomach that on one hand they're saying, oh, we're really worried about safety, that's why you can't have these windows that are featured in every instructional space across 90,000 square feet. You can't have the windows because of safety, but we're perfectly happy that you don't have an integrated PA.
Yeah,
so you
I have to agree with you on that one. That's like a little OTT. Desi has a question.
Yeah, there are like certificates and standards for elevators within buildings. Does that same thing exist for windows?
But it's an excellent question. I thank you for raising it. So The exterior windows, I think, are straightforward, and I'm very grateful as anyone who's been in the space, and Tricia, who walked on the 14th floor with me 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. All of the classroom spaces have exterior windows. So no classroom, no instructional space has no outside windows or ambient light windows. The issue is, can classrooms have interior windows, windows from classroom to hallway? And the SCA's response is, in short, we don't do that. But they can't point to anything in their standards that says we don't do that. And I have proof in the space that we have that it exists. It's even more frustrating that office space, and included in the 14th floor, there are 2 supervisors' offices. Those supervisors' offices have large 4x4 foot viewing panels from office to hallway. So it's like you can have a big viewing panel in a supervisor's office, which would be a more natural place if you really needed a shelter, not the supervisor, but if you needed to get students in a very safe space, you can have these great big viewing panels or windows, and you're not going to have them in the classrooms.
So their concern with the windows is not someone breaking the windows, they're concerned about school shootings?
That's the allegation, which in fairness, I'm sorry to say, and for those fellow parents whose students are still in school age, this is a reality of our society now. I think that's a terrible thing that we have to confront. That said, I don't want to plan this space for the event that I hope will never happen. I want to make sure that for the hopefully thousands of other days that thousands of other students are going to experience this space, that we make the best possible instructional space, and we have other controls, our ground floor safety desk, our communication in school, a working single PA system, all of the other protections that we might have in place, our protocols and practice for lockdowns, talk about low-cost solutions, the window shades that we can obstruct those windows. I think the terrible thing is that, and my brief editorial, if gun control was more robust, then even in a school shooting situation, we wouldn't have necessarily the same worry about the firepower of a prospective shooter. But at this point, with the guns that are available, I say, unless the walls are solid and there's no door whatsoever, at some point the school, an individual has the potential, the firepower to get through, barring a steel door, fire door. I think we're just talking about degrees there. So that's my extreme.
I'm also confused because you have an attended lobby, your high school, you have an alarm system that shuts the elevators off if anybody at the front desk shuts them down. And it's not like it's an elementary school where you're walking in the front door. And in addition to that, you've got the precedent of having the entire school with interior windows. You already have them. So it's not like you're adding something that isn't there and creating a safety issue. If they deem it a safety issue, you already have the safety issue, and doing one more window. And is it one, Colin?
It would be 4 for 4 of the 5 classrooms. Okay. And then also in contention is adding these panels to what we intend as office space. And the contention is like, it's just digging in the heels. Like, we won't give you anything. There are 2 spaces that will be used for teams of teachers to do planning, to do work. And we want to put in viewing panels there. And it's just, and now it's any proposal is, we're just trying to parallel the existing school space. And it's not school construction, it's school obstruction.
Right.
I just have a question.
Bob?
Yes.
These change orders to the existing plan, change orders, would be change orders. I've seen this game played before by construction companies and the SCA. Enough pressure on it. You got Tricia here who's very good at that. Without saying with 50-50, they could be playing around with, I don't know where, maybe Mr. Marte or somebody else can put some capital funds in to increase the project's budget. They're saying to you, part of the reason is it costs more for the security system and for the PA system. It costs more. And they are not naive to get more money, external monies into their budget. I don't say that's what's operating here. I just put it on the table.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's also really behind schedule. And I mean, they started this in what, 2020? When, 2019?
And not to give every taxpayer here pause.
Yeah.
They started the project, it was approved in early 2020, and they've been paying rent on the space, tax dollars on the space since 2020. And for 4 years of lease space, they did nothing. Nothing.
It's really.
4 years of lease space, which the SCA did not want to confirm the start of lease. I reached out to the building and I said, can you just tell me, when did the city start paying rent on the space? He said, January 2020. You know, as I can understand pandemic, I'm glad everyone's here. I hope your families got through in one piece. I hope you didn't have any losses in the pandemic. There was a period of time where it was tough to get anything moving, that spring of 2020. However, as someone who was physically in school starting in fall of 2020, it's difficult to rationalize. They were paying rent on it and SCA people were keeping their job. What work was done?
Well, I mean, there was also the
Wow.
precedent of work being done 2 blocks from you, where they were able to erect an entire school start to finish in half of this time. So I think there's a lot of problems here.
Yeah.
And I think, you've given us a lot of good information, Colin, but if you can, if there's anything you can send me, any written correspondence or any sort of report, it would really help. And then we'll form a letter from the community board and we'll just get after it. Is
Awesome.
anybody else online? I can't see hands or anything. Anybody else have,
I-
Morton?
Have you gotten any feedback from Councilmember Marte's office on it? Have they been in communication with the SCA?
They've been in communication, to make a bad pun. They've been getting stonewalled, as is the borough president's office.
I'm sorry, what did you say? They've been getting stolen?
They've been getting stonewalled. That they've been getting the same no, we're looking into it type responses.
Okay, well, we'll get on it. And I'll also liaise with Chris because, it'd be good for us all to have aligned messaging. But definitely send me anything, send the office anything that you have. And we'll get on it right away and I'll just be in touch with you and let you know any updates.
Can't thank you enough. I feel like everyone has been very patient in listening to me describe a real headache for the school, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, I'm going to transition. I have a PA meeting. Otherwise, I would have come in person, but thank you very much. I hope everyone has a good evening.
All right, bye, Colin. Yeah,
Can you give me a number, like on how much rent they were paying? You just need.
no, but I have the number somewhere.
I mean,
And Andrew, I see your question about a resolution. I don't think we need a resolution, on this, at least at this point, because I want to find out a little bit more information. I'd love to see what he sends us in terms of the documentation. I'd love to also go and have a look at the guidelines, you know what I mean? I just want to get a little bit more, background and bring it back in December. And we might get something done between now and December, but I think I don't feel like we have enough supporting information. Does that make sense? All right, but it does sound like, there's a lot to work with there. I think mostly is this, security issue with the windows and then the, being okay with the 2 PA systems. I would have to agree that makes no sense.
No sense.
So I think we will be taking this up and, I might have something else to report since it will be an agenda item, come the full board meeting. I may end up having something to report that night. So we'll see if that happens fast enough. All right, anybody else on this topic?
there's one more add on, and if it's happening here, it's happening in other places too.
Yeah,
Terrible.
And that's just.
the MCC has a lot of interior windows.
Exactly.
Tons of interior windows. I was just thinking of that because I was in that building recently and so I wonder when this happened and I wonder what those grandfather clauses are when it comes to doing extensions and
Right.
there's also the design aspects of, if you're enlarging a school, don't, says the architect. So I think if it's not broken, don't fix it, you know, like it just feels a little, again, though, they may tell me something that they haven't shared yet, so let's wait. Everybody else? Nothing else? Okay, let us move on.
I would just say I'd be happy to liaise with Chris's office, because I know a lot of people there. I'm very close to them.
Yeah,
They send me his
I think
email.
that we should do that,
Yeah.
the three of us should actually do this action together. This is gonna be a
Yeah.
great thing to sort of, you know, have propulsion into your tenure. So the next is the Battery Park Ball Field renovation. Who is reporting on this?
Who put it on the agenda? Nick?
Well, you know what? I'm sorry, you're right, Lucy. All I have is, I'm thinking of something bigger. I just want to report that it is being postponed till next year. I'm thinking,
Next
is
week.
there something bigger?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
next winter.
They are not feeling as though it is too small of a window to guarantee to get the work done before Little League. And so they would like to have more preparation time next fall
Right,
and go at it again.
it
then.
makes sense.
So that was mine. Thank you, Lucy. Anybody have any comments, questions? Nothing?
The only thing I would add, this is Andrew, as it relates to the ball field project, is they are proceeding with the padding replacement. So
Oh,
there
good.
will be work done. I mean, that's not going to interfere with any activities, but that aspect of the work is, or at least it was scheduled to proceed when we had the last conversation with BPCA.
Okay, and you know, Andrew, one other question I would have for you. When it comes to next year, and one thing I just asked Nick is there something different about next year? Is something gonna be finishing up earlier? Are they making any changes to the next fall that you know of to make next year more ideal to do this in terms of scheduling?
I think it was simply planning in coordination with their selected contractor. I mean, that in and of itself was going to be a several-week project before they would even begin work. And I think their view is they can handle that going into next year, such that when soccer ends, they can immediately begin the construction aspects of the project because they'll have the planning already laid out.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
What would be different next year?
Yeah.
Contract, different contracts.
So, because the RFP went out this fall, so
They weren't happy.
were pushing that.
contractors.
Yeah, he did say they were pushing that schedule because of it on that part of it. So thanks, Andrew. Okay.
Just question on that, it's
Yeah.
Darren. Good evening, everyone. I was there last night. My daughter has a soccer practices and just conflicts with something else. I'm not there very often. There's like, what, 5 or 7 trees along the West Street side of the ballpark. What exactly are they doing?
Andrew, would you mind answering this one? Do you feel like you can?
Forgive me if we talked about it a couple committees ago, and I don't think I was there, but
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like a large undertaking. What am I missing here?
So the current plan calls for the removal of those trees for a number of reasons, one of which is general safety of having trees in such close proximity to the athletic activities. I know there's been some comments raised about that strategy, and some folks have taken on, I think Jeff Galloway and I don't know about Eric or Justine, have sort of taken that aspect of ongoing conversations with the authority. So I think it's TBD, more to come.
Okay, thank
Been
you.
around too long. I remember when her name, Letitia, who worked for the Battery Park City Authority, the community board and David Finer worked for Allen at the time. They wanted the trees out. And Letitia said, we're keeping the trees.
Oh,
So now they want to take the trees out, right?
where's
But
the
some
picture?
people the community wants to keep the trees in. I guess it's the same tree.
What was the reason for wanting to keep it?
Who said trees?
Because they're trees.
The trees.
Yeah.
Well, I'd imagine they also can catch balls instead of the balls going out onto the cars. Anybody want to weigh in on?
I don't
that?
know about that. I leave that to somebody that played baseball.
It's because of, shading and cover and oxygen and all
I
that.
I think, I think the.
But if the
home-
roots
sorry.
are going to, I'm saying if.
Nah, I don't know.
The roots are a problem.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
I think the home plate is far enough away from the
Yeah.
house. There aren't that many little leaguers are gonna hit the ball over the fence.
I honestly don't know, but we can find out. How about that?
Well, I would save your time, whatever I mean, let
But
Justine work.
It's, Darren, to answer your question too, it's more comprehensive than that. They're redoing the whole surface. So it's a big project. They're ripping everything up.
Oh my God.
All right, thank you for they're gonna redo all of the turf. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's time.
And that's part of so they're gonna have from the end of November until whenever baseball starts, I guess? Is that the idea?
Correct.
That was
Yeah,
the-
and sorry, it's a comprehensive project. It's turf replacement, it's the padding, it's installation of some other facilities that support the activities of the community for the various sports seasons. So it's a pretty comprehensive program, and I think one that's really going to enhance that.
Yeah.
Apologies, I thought your question was specific to the trees. Removal of the
Okay,
trees
no,
is
it's just-
part of that
yeah.
overall program.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I think the service could, looking at it last night, I think the service could use some help.
Actually, give it to you.
All right, thank you.
Well, what are you gonna do with it?
I'll let you have the leaves.
Right, moving on to our last item actually is the update on 234 construction by Mr. Bob Townley.
Okay, so I also had on here summarizing, if I could take a minute about summarizing.
Okay.
Okay, and also,
That's the
you-
agenda,
you
so I
didn't-
remembered to
yeah,
report that.
you didn't meet, Kelly Washburn, who's our COO, Tricia, she introduced Tricia, our longtime chair of the youth committee. I want to talk about summarizing first. I testified at the city council. If anyone wants a copy of my letter, I think I sent it around. It's a good program. And so I testified, they should just start planning it now. The DYCD has not issued RFPs for new programs, which I think what they'll do is kick the can down the road 2 more years and renew all of our schools for DYCD. There was some talk about a new RFP, which is a lot of work, but we're not, and we were prepared to submit for all of our 25 middle schools, but it looks like they'll delay it another 2 years.
I'm not clear on that delay.
I don't know. It should have been out by now, a concept paper and an RFP for all the middle school programs. We felt confident we would be returning to those schools with the RFP, but we've heard nothing about the RFP, and it's December already, and it would be really difficult. And in my letter, I mentioned the timing of the programs to the city council. But what I'm looking for from the community board is we operated summarizing programs at Wagner School uptown and Morton School, which took our contracts from LMC and moved them over to the Morton and 89 and moved them over to the Morton School for the summer. So there was no program in Community Board 1 except the program at 150, which was supposed to be in Chinatown. We didn't run it, and I can't get any demographics on it because the principal who ran it is not around anymore. And I asked Kelly, but I think he was a little bit, I didn't think he wanted to share. He shares a lot with me, but I don't think he wanted to share that. I don't know. Maybe he didn't have it when I asked him. It was the end of the summer. But the real issue is, and I don't know how people feel about this. We'd like to run a summarizing program at PS 276. We did it last year. A lot of parents use it. We were full. We had 400 kids, and a lot of them were from Lower Manhattan or worked in Lower Manhattan. I don't know if the budget's going to be expanding, but I'm going to have a meeting with and advocate a little bit. I don't know how the community feels about it. I know Rosa wanted to get her kid in one year and it was closed, and there are a lot of parents who would like Summer Rising. It's a good program. And, I wrote about that, and I would agree, we're gonna run it at Morton, and as soon as it comes out, the digital, it was really, they were tough telling parents to register. And we ran one at PS 111, and we ran one at Wagner. So there were 3 programs, Morton, Wagner, and PS 111. Very few children, because we have that data, were from Community Board 1. And
So who made this decision?
the DOE,
They made the decision to move LMCs to Morton, just like that.
it was never at LMC. They made the decision, thank you. They made the decision to move it to Morton or Wagner because the 276 had construction going on in it last summer.
So it was at 76 before they moved to Morton.
We ran it at 276.
Okay. So-
And I don't know if it was moved to Morton or if it was moved to Wagner.
So it moved
I-
because of construction.
I think the
and you
best
wanted
thing to do,
that.
yeah, I think the best thing to do is don't close it at Morton. Morton was full. Don't close it at 111. Don't close it at Wagner, but open it up at 276. But it's gonna be hard because, they do economic data for people, and our community has a higher per capita income. So it's gonna be tough. And also they do it because they want kids to get summer help, which I write in my letter. I'm not so sure what the DOE is teaching these kids in the summer. I know for sure, we give them a very good experience. We take over at 12, for people that don't know, we take over at 12 o'clock. We go to 6 with the elementary. With the middle school, we do the afternoons. It's much more limited. They expanded it 2 weeks before the program. The money is how they allocate this money at the last minute is really a challenge for us, but we do it. And we like doing it, but it could be done more efficiently.
Can the kids be made for families who are not part of the, sort of the general understanding of the per capita income of the community?
I don't know how they arrived at their decision, I don't know how.
So if we don't have that information, what we can do is ask the question and just say, it's been raised that
Maybe we want one in,
we'd like to talk about possibly opening a Summer Rising location at 276 again.
yeah, for elementary school.
It had been there before,
Yeah,
and we
Right.
now have none in community.
right.
board.
And I'm gonna be meeting with the principal of 276, Alexis, she's a new principal.
Okay,
And see what her feelings are on it.
that would be great, because I mean, her community would give you a lot of information, although
Parents like it.
if we don't have one at all in this community board now, which I did not even realize.
Yeah.
I think we should at least ask for it and then let them tell us why they think we should or shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And not at the expense of other communities, but, we don't know what the budget is next year.
No,
It's expensive. It's about a 276. I mean, it's much cheaper reimbursement than our private downtown day camp, but it's $400,000, so.
yeah, no resolutions, we're all good.
Some, for 500 kids, 400 or 500 kids. We run it, it's efficient. It's like $700 a child. It's efficient. Kids
How
love
long
it.
does the program run? How many weeks?
It runs from July to like the second week in August. It's great for working parents.
So it's like 6 weeks?
So like,
6 weeks?
6 weeks and it's 9 to 5?
Yes. The teachers run it in the morning and we take over at 12 o'clock. But we also supply them supplemental staff in the morning.
How is it different than camp?
Well, the biggest difference is in the morning, it's academic. The teachers do math and reading with the kids. So it's a DOE program.
Interesting.
And it was breakfast and lunch?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
And the problem is in many places, they can't get the attendance up. We're turning people away. I don't know why that is. But, I'd be interested what it is in your, what summer rising programs you got down in County Island and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm sure. They're important programs.
Outside in the afternoons, right?
Yeah, we do. De Blasio, started it. It's a good program.
Okay,
So it's academic and there is some piece of recreational.
Oh, it's a large piece of recreation. It's for the afternoons.
all right.
We
that's-
know a lot of kids who do it. My son goes away to his grandparents in the summer, but a lot of kids in his age go do it.
Middle school or
No, elementary school.
where they do it, do you know?
Wherever it's available down in downtown. I think that was PS.
Probably then, right? That was-
Well,
No.
originally they were doing it
One was
at
done-
PS 89, right?
Right. Originally, they were doing it
Yeah.
at 276, and they, I don't know, be good to know what parents in this community would want. And it's not only parents in this community, it's parents who work, let's say you're a worker, middle income worker at BMCC, this is for middle income working people, it's not every program should be for deficiencies,
So it could
middle
be for people who work in the community.
Oh, anybody who joined, yes. The registration is difficult, but, you get a choice and then you don't know if you get on the waiting list. It's a real mess.
So it's a free program.
Yeah, but it's a real mess, the registration is. It's just it's a real
Right,
mess.
so we have an actionable item there, which we will do.
Yeah, and I'll come in, I'll know more in December and, let me come back and,
You don't want us to take an action for now?
well, what action would that be?
Action would be to go to the DOE and say, it's been proposed that we reopen a location at 276.
Yeah, there's no harm in doing that.
Look to it,
There's no harm in that.
because our impressions are that.
We'll fill it up. We'll fill it up.
Fill up.
We'll fill it up. If Alexa puts I always get the confusion between the app and the principal. Hey, Alexa, turn the light on. But, it's me. I don't think she put the kibosh on it. We want to do something at 234 this summer too. Free sports for kids on our D-Way. Kids need to move in the summer, so,
Do you want to talk to Alexis first?
yeah, I'll let you know, yeah.
I'm gonna wait to hear back.
Yeah, because we're working with her on some, I didn't even put it on the agenda, the newly arrived students and how do you fund newly arrived students in elementary school? There's a lot of back and forth between us and them on it.
Are you also making an announcement on the 234 construction tonight?
Yes, I is.
Yes, I.
Well, I wrote a resolution to come to the committee about the scaffolding at 34, that's 3 years.
Oh, okay.
No work, contractor defaults. It's been up for 3 years. It smells. It's been up there. It's expensive. It's a waste. So I had a resolution. Finish the job because it's for 3 years. We haven't had access to the school in the summer and the courtyard because of this construction.
No, I haven't heard from 234. I have.
I have. And I sent you the email. If you look at the email from SCA, they must have known Tricia and Bob were coming because they say now they're gonna take the scaffolding down by mid-November. I'll go back. Dana sent me the email and I haven't seen anything going on there. And I will be surprised if they take that scaffolding down, hallelujah, in mid-November. It's been a real, they were doing brickwork around the building. It's a tremendous
But you're
amount.
not doing it
Did
anymore.
some of it come down or no? Or not?
Yeah, some of it came
Yeah, I
down.
know, because we.
Some of it came down in the yard. Yeah. And then there were two contractors. I mean, you heard from Colin just now. SCA, they don't do it right. And then we also heard that they were gonna do something in the gym and lock us out at the gym for after school and evenings, but they apparently heard the resolution too. But they're not gonna do anything in the gym.
So,
They have a way of really fucking things up.
all right, so
Yeah.
Is that a?
were they still working? Are they still working on the building or is it?
I haven't
just-
seen anybody there.
Okay.
Just, it's a great cover for people that want to get high and,
Well, it's inappropriate to
so,
leave it up with
the
there's no
smoking
work.
right underneath it. The smoke is going into the cafeteria at after school. It's just not, just not the right thing to do. And I heard that they're gonna end it. So that's my report.
Okay.
If
so-
not, I'll be back in December.
All right, I think that since.
We got the permits for 234 for the gym. We
Okay,
just got the, Dana was great on it.
We are gonna be in touch with the SCA about Millennium And so we may as well, talk about,
Can you confirm
That they're
the
coming
scaffolding's down and we can have light? I'm surprised none of the neighbors in my, people have said anything, but yes.
all right.
It
so we
doesn't
will-
hurt. Thank you very much.
Action and, report at the full board as well if we have any news.
It's just,
And no, it's hard.
it's
It
just
really
money.
is
It's
hard.
just really, I can't get over the amount of money. We've been working with the SAA or not working with them.
Well, the waste is, I think, the thing that is really, it's really hard to swallow. Wasting 2 years of a lease,
I know.
wasting,
Scaff-
like Xiaomi across the street is building a luxury condominium, and I asked him and he told me, the price per square foot is like $520, $550. And the SEA just spent over $800 a foot on the Harbor School
It's,
expansion. And this is the thing that gets to me is when you talk about
it's tremendous.
code and safety,
Bullshit.
we're all for that, but why does it take 4 times longer and cost double of regular construction in the city? And I really want to try to tackle this, in these
God.
coming years, because it's gonna get so much worse. The cost of steel, we actually just for my co-op just priced out, some things we have to do to the facade, and the cost of these goods are doubling and tripling,
Wait till
and
the-
less.
You know the tariffs?
After 9/11, we wanted to change the curtain in the theater at 234. So they gave us a price of $90,000 because the curtain is felt and it was smelly. And they said 90,000. And we went and did it for 10.
Yeah.
It's just,
No, it's really, the cost of that walkway at 234 is that one was a
oh, baby,
break. Anyway, so
baby.
here we are again and again.
Ryan, some
Um,
things never change.
So, anyway, so I think we have our action items. Hopefully we'll get some, at least a little information by full board, and then we'll see if we get a response. And if we don't, we'll have a few resolutions in December.
It's good to go on record.
Well, I want to get the information first, and I want
Yes,
to get the
yes.
SCA chance to respond. And if they don't respond.
They know you.
Then we'll move to the resolution. So, yeah, so does anybody else have any new business? No?
Are we meeting in December or?
We are meeting in December because we will have these issues, and we also have a new one that just came in this morning that is going on December regarding the, well, we don't know yet. I'm also doing some research, but there is a petition going around New York Reads, which some of you might remember is an initiative that was put in place about a year ago, September, that would move, and I will tell you this now, because then people can research it before the next meeting. It will move reading from the Teachers College sort of approach that we've had in New York a very long time, which is more contextual and picture-based, if you will, when it comes to teaching reading, to what is more of a phonics-based and an evidence-based approach to reading. There are proponents on both sides.
Okay.
Our literacy is still at 50%. It's actually down a year after it started, which could just be adjustments, and it still may be a great initiative. So, but there's a petition to go back to the other one.
God.
So we're gonna do our research as to what the complaints are. We're gonna hear from the
Barely
people
can
that
read
think it's
myself.
working well. And we will bring that evidence and data to the meeting for discussion in December. So we actually have a pretty robust meeting coming together for December. So, yeah,
If I could just comment, that was implemented, the initiative, was implemented after a lot of, debate and advocacy by a lot of people. And then when Eric Adams was, elected and his new chancellor was in place, they implemented the recommendation and they gave the local school districts the authority to choose.
Right.
And Kelly McGuire was here and he updated us about it.
Remember.
And the schools also, I think each principal had a choice. Also, there were three curricula that they could choose from. And most of the schools chose the one that's called, I'm not familiar with the exact details of each curriculum, but there's something called Wit and Wisdom. And then there's bills that were up in Albany to
I
fund.
think this isn't the curriculum, this is just New York Reads. I think it's separate. I think this is just the literacy.
Yeah. Of the family.
Well,
From what I-
it's the literacy curriculum. That's what it's about.
I'm not sure that.
I mean, New York Reads is about the literacy curriculum.
All right, because maybe you're right, Morton, but I always thought Wit and Wisdom was more comprehensive than just the literacy piece.
Well, whatever it is, it's the literacy curriculum to go from the units of study, I think it's also called balanced literacy.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's true. they
And,
call that.
and there's been so much publicity all across the country, articles in the Times and different places where the effect of teaching under this system where basically kids are encouraged to guess based on pictures. They're not, well, if you don't know what the word is and you can't sound it out, look at the context and the pictures and just guess. So advocates, critics of the program say it doesn't teach kids to read, because if they see the word in a different context, they don't get it. Anyway, so Kelly McGuire was here, they adopted the system, and then now I saw some publicity about it where people said, well, the reading scores actually went down after they first
I
implemented it.
saw that.
And a lot of it is that, it's been implemented at different levels in different schools. The question is there funding to instruct the teachers in how to teach this new program? Plus, you've had an influx of a lot of migrant kids who don't speak English. What are all the impacts of these factors involved? And the thing was, there was so many people, and I was involved in this movement who were criticizing the units of study, balanced literacy approach, and for years, that was put in the early 2000s when Bloomberg was the mayor. I think Carmen Farina was the initial chancellor at that time. And for years and years and years, New York City kids have been devastated by not learning how to read. And it's like kids are walking out, if kids were walking out into the street and getting hit by cars, and 40% of the kids in the school would get hit by cars, it would be a crisis, it would be an emergency. But we accept the fact that 40% of the kids in New York City
Wow.
come out of the school and don't know how to, and not being taught how to read. So something has to be done to solve this problem, because it's unacceptable. And to say to go back to a system where 40% of the kids are not being learning how to read, that's a success?
So, Morton, there's obviously more to it, and we
Okay.
don't know
Okay.
what those things are. So if people have formed a petition,
Okay.
they're unhappy, it may not be that they're unhappy with the curriculum. It may be that they're unhappy with the way it was rolled out. It may be, they may be unhappy because they weren't properly trained. They may be unhappy because the curriculum doesn't meet the needs of their particular demographic at their school. It may be that they're up to the parents. Like, we don't have enough information to take a position on whether it's working or not. And it isn't really a call to ask whether we think the curriculum's good or not. We have to just assess what the issue is that people are going to make petitions over. We don't even know if it's that they don't like it. They might love it, we just don't know what the issue is. Because it's not clear on the petition. They're just petitioning against the whole thing.
Whatever we can do
So,
to advocate to help kids learn how to read in our city, I think is.
I
Also-
definitely, when you have a 50% literacy rate, it's actionable, right?
Yeah,
Interestingly, there are cities who have a 50% literacy rate that do have a phonics-based system. So I think that what makes a successful system is proper training combined with a great curriculum, combined with
Parents knowing how to read.
the parents knowing how to read, and also appropriate rollout demographically and follow-up, right? We also have that important piece of follow-up, so.
I mean, if you,
Go ahead, Debbie.
it could be apples to oranges if you're talking about a much more monolithic city,
Right.
you know, where maybe
Right,
English is
right,
the primary language, you know, and so all of those things that play into whether or not something is gonna have a different kind of impact. And so it's, I don't know how many factors we would have to take into consideration to move in the direction that we need to move in, to be able to create an equitable.
My understanding is there's been some, and I mean to interrupt. Been told sometimes I engage in mansplaining, so I
Well,
apologize.
it is an item for next month, and I'm
Yeah,
saying,
yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that
Let's
it's
go.
not on the agenda,
I'm also
and,
curious where that music is coming
Where is that?
yeah.
Is that coming from my phone? Oh, sorry. It went on by itself.
Sort of.
Okay.
Sorry.
We just don't have enough information yet. Has nothing to do with the strength of the curriculum. I want to make sure
Right,
that
that's
we
what
know
I'm
that,
saying,
yeah.
we-
We have to find out what the issues
Yeah.
are, but it is on the December agenda.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we'll have more information by then. So I hope everybody can make that meeting. I think it's on our regular Tuesday.
Second Tuesday of the month,
December 10th, yeah.
Okay, December
this
10th.
is second Tuesday, right?
All
I
right,
won't be here, but I'll send you guys an email.
okay,
When Andrew's gonna run that meeting.
all right.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
Very nice to
Thanksgiving.
meet you all.
Thanks.
Thank you. By the way, your use of that terminology.
25th on Monday.
Oh, good.
That's an understatement, how bad they are.
You know the
The record guys, one of you soon.
meeting adjourned?
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you.
Is the recording on?
Now